Can you share with us what Esther's been interested in lately? I really love that conversation in Miami where you shared with us what she was really particularly interested in, what she's been doing in her life lately. That was fascinating to me.
What she's eating up all day, every day. And some of it we're talking about here because you're looking for it too. And it's a little bit about the conversation that we were having earlier about the processes. So Esther has applied every process that we've ever offered. She's heard it. She's watched for opportunities to utilize it. She's utilized it, and she's benefited from it. And many of those processes have been a little bit like triage. It's just a way to stop the bleeding, which is important. In other words, the true healing can come later. And so what we are acknowledging is that there will be other processes for you later that will be more meaningful for you at the time, but those processes that fit right now matter a lot. They're perfect, aren't they? So Esther was doing a lot of focus wheels because she was wanting to really clean up her vibration. We'll give you a larger picture of this since you asked the question. She was having an experience with someone where she was not getting what she wanted from the experience. In fact, pretty far off from what she wanted. And she knows she creates her own reality, and she's the first one to take responsibility for what she's getting unless there's somebody else to blame. It felt to her like she was doing more than her part, and still it was escalating to something that was making her uncomfortable. And Esther, like you, wants to feel good. And so one day, one early morning, after a strong awareness that it was not where she wanted it to be, she awakened with these words in her mind: it's attraction, 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 it's only attraction, it's only attraction, it's only attraction, it's only ever attraction, it's only ever attraction. It's never assertion, it's never what somebody else is doing, it's always what you are attracting. Crap. I know that, she says. I know that. So that set her off on a determination to use every process that she'd ever learned from us to make sure that her vibration was in the place that would attract what she wanted for the sake of everyone involved in this co-creation. And it was hard work because it was going back for Esther. It was retracing her steps through things she'd already moved through. It was like treating an understanding that she used to need that she no longer needs. So even in applying a process that at one time served her, the tourniquet that stopped the bleeding, now it's time to take the tourniquet off and allow the real healing to begin. Bulky analogy, we know, but you get what we're talking about, yes? So after a whole lot of focus wheels, she was exhausted. You know what a focus wheel is? Just deciding what you want, recognizing you're not where you want to be, focusing on what you want, and then writing everything that makes you feel like what you want until you sort of shore that up. Well, she shored it up and shored it up and shored it up and shored it up and shored it up until she hated the world. It was like she needed a higher power. It's like she needed a stronger power. She was reaching for something more than that technique, which she had used effectively on less challenging or less important matters. But now her life has parlayed her into a stronger desire, and it required a utilization of all that she knows and going beyond what she had currently known and currently applied. That's why each one of you is here now. This is not a forum where we just regurgitate stuff that we've been talking about forever. This is a forum where you, new you, comes to this, new this, and together we find new understanding about how it all fits together, yes? So Esther sat with her focus wheel book, and she closed the book, and the thought came into her mind: if I were starting over with this, if I could have it any way I wanted, if nothing about this existed right now. She remembered us telling the story that whether you're building a business or a relationship or an empire, most of it is built vibrationally before you nail the first nail in the first board. And so those thoughts were kind of wafting through her mind. And she thought, if I could have it just the way I want it, there's nothing in existence now except my knowledge of what does work and what I do want. And then right on the heels of that thought, because momentum is like that and clarity is like that, if I could have it any way I want it, the thought was, since I can have it any way that I want it, how do I want it? Since I can have it any way that I want it, how do I want it? And for Esther, the best way she could describe it is it felt like she went through a portal where nothing that ever was applied, a portal that allowed her the empowerment that is truly her. And for a moment, she just caught a glimpse of what it's like to command. That's really good. To command of the universe what I now want from where I now stand, since I can have it any way I want it. And the feeling of it, the contrast of the difference between struggling with the focus wheels of trying to clean up some stuff and getting out ahead of it. This is what we mean by getting out ahead of it. By getting out ahead of it and just knowing, what is it that you know? You are an extension of source energy. You are a creator who gets to create anything that you choose. You are liquid love. You are worthy beyond anyone's ability to describe you. You are in possession of the energy that creates worlds, and you get to point it in whatever direction you have identified as important to you. And this portal opened for Esther. It lasted less than 10 seconds. Less than 10 seconds. But it was euphoria and an empowerment, and she was all alone. And once she came down from it a little bit, what she wrote on her paper that she had opened in front of her was, I've heard Abraham say this so many times, but I never personally understood it in the way that I do right now. One who's connected to source is more powerful than millions who are not. And for just a moment, she caught a glimpse of her true power. True power. That's what we're talking to all of you about. Oh, yeah, there's lots you can do. And we love it when you know you're not in a good place and you apply a process and feel better. That's all good. We're not trying to talk you out of any of that. We just want you to know, yeah, there's lots of vehicles, but there is something that you are, you and you. There's a you that you are. You have been becoming. You've been in the state of becoming long before you knew yourself in this physical body. And that you is powerful and loving and knowing and confident and clear-minded and happy and eager and capable and willing and observant and desirous and adoring you, and has access to everything that matters about everything, and will point it to you in a way that you can receive it, because that you understands what your points of resistance are and will guide you around it. Ooh. That's what she's up to. She's up to discovering her own power, because, you know, she tunes into us and, she translates us to perfection. But then she has a life to live, you know. She's Esther. She's Esther. And sometimes things are broken. Sometimes they need triage. Sometimes she just has to stop the bleeding. Not very often. And then sometimes she's ready for the boldness of really being who she is. She wants to stand in such practiced and known, owned, dominant vibration of love, that she can look anywhere out into the world, politics, anywhere out into the world, poverty, anywhere out into the world, immigration, anywhere out into the world, cancer, anywhere out into the world, and not flinch one bit. But instead, know the well-being of it. No, because the well-being is dominant.
Really quickly, one last question. Is there any specific process, or how was that realized that Esther's utilizing?
Well, she's still feeling her way to that. And we all are together here too. And while we're here together, we will identify together some applicable processes that will accomplish just that. But let's start with the understanding of getting out ahead of it, which means leaving the physical reality behind and going where the vortex is. And let's make that statement a little more clear by saying it's the difference between daydreaming for the pleasure of the dream as compared to deliberately creating to get rid of that radio station. It's the getting out ahead of it. You see, you've already gotten out ahead of it. You just don't know it. Your contrast has caused you to launch rockets that have gotten out way out ahead of what you've manifested. So you're already way out ahead of it. Your inner being's already way out ahead of it and gathering all of the cooperative components for what comes next for you. So there's all those vehicles all lined up for you to just enjoy and enjoy and enjoy and enjoy. But most of you want to just jump to that last one because you want success and you want progress and you want the final thing. No, you don't. You want this one and this one and this one and this one and this one. You want all the fun along the way. You want all the deliciousness. And so it's anything and everything that you can think of doing that causes you to feel satisfaction in this moment, which means some deliberately navigating of yourself through life. You got somebody who is always hard to feel good around. Be around them a whole lot less for a while. Don't stop loving them and don't stop wanting the best for them, but don't test yourself with their momentum. If there is music that when you hear it, it thrills you, then play it. But don't play it so often that you're numb to it so that you don't hear its perfection. In other words, pace yourself. Pace yourself for the deliciousness of life experience. Do the things that feel best to you. And of course, there's the big step of loving yourself, but those are just words to most everybody. Love yourself? Yeah, got that one down. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have that one down. You don't love yourselves. You don't love yourselves the way your inner being is loving you. You want to, but you got to practice that. You got to look for opportunities for that. And so when someone displeases you, and you feel negative emotion about it, and then the next thing you do is be mad at yourself about that, it's time to stop that right now. Because if something displeases you, whether it's an action or a condition, no matter how up close or far away from you it is, when something displeases you, and you have a normal knee-jerk reaction of negative emotion because your guidance system is working, and you're looking right at something that you don't want, don't let the next step be to be mad at yourself for feeling negative emotion. Instead, say, good for me, my guidance system is working. Good for me, my guidance system is reminding me that that's not how I roll. Good for me, good for me, good for me. My negative emotion is alive and well. My negative emotion is alive and well and good for me. Good for me. Be proud of your utilization of your emotional guidance system. I'm going to find a way to feel negative emotion and like it. Wait. I'm going to find a way to feel negative emotion and not turn it back on myself. Wait. I'm going to find a way to feel negative emotion and not turn it on myself or on anyone else. But if I have to turn it on someone, it's going to be you, not me. It's a better choice. It's a better choice. I'm going to work on that. I'm not going to get after myself. I'm not going to look for perfection because I'm never going to be perfect because there's always going to be something more. I'm going to do my best to accept that right now. I'm expanding. Are you done? No. Not ever going to be done. Isn't that worrisome? No. That's the best.